Alright, welcome back to Star Ocean Anamnesis. So, today I actually want to give you guys some tips on how to save up gems. I don't know why I haven't done a video like this before. It definitely seems like something that I would have done, but yeah, I guess not. So, as you can see, I have 221,000 gems right now. That actually used to be more than 300,000, but then, you know, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history happened, and now we're here. So, I guess first of all, I want to start this video off by saying that there is no cheat or there is no way to farm gems in the game. It's just the only way to get gems is basically through like consistent logins and just doing your dailies and that sort of stuff. So I can't really tell you how to acquire gems really quickly because there is no way to do that. All I can tell you is how to save up more efficiently. So those are the kind of tips that I'm going to give you. Alright, let's get started. So I guess I should start off by saying how you can actually get gems in the game, just for the newer players. So first of all, you have the Maze of Tribulations. You get 3 tries every single day to run these mazes. Usually you just want to complete every single floor, because then you get a huge coin bonus. And after you've already completed every single floor, then usually you just farm the 15th floor in the latest maze, which gives you 10 coins after every single run. And these coins can be exchanged in the Maze of Tribulation shop. So the MOT coin exchange, you can exchange your coins for gems or mission tickets. Always exchange them for gems. Never exchange them for mission tickets. Even if you have coins left, they carry over to the next week so that you can exchange them for gems next week. So always go for the gems. The mission tickets are just a complete bait. And then, of course, you have your dailies. You can get 300 gems every single day just by doing these challenges. Should be very easy. And then the weekly usually has 200 gems as well for completing 25 daily quests, I think. And then aside from that, there's also this one right here. Attain rank 170, well, not 170 in particular, but every 5 levels you acquire 500 gems. I think it's every 5 levels. So you should also try to level up as much as you can, because of course that's going to increase your stamina, and you know, you get the 500 gem reward. And then of course we have story and event missions as well. Each one of these gives you 100 gems on the first completion, so try to get through story as quickly as you can and complete every single event mission. And then lastly we have the login bonuses, which occasionally give you gems, and sometimes there's a celebration going on. Like right now the anniversary gives you like 5,000 gems just for logging in. So aside from all of these things, I don't think there are any other ways to acquire gems, but still, this game is very generous when it comes to giving out gems, because I think you can collect about 10,000 gems in a good week, around 10,000, maybe like 9,000 or something, but that's like, what, 40,000 in a week, or in a month? So that's pretty good. But I guess with all of that out of the way, I can get started with the actual tips. So I imagine most of us end up spending all of our gems, or at least most of our gems, on character pulls. That's what I do, so I imagine most people do that as well. And I want to talk about the characters first because of that. So in most gacha games, you end up pulling for characters because they are good, or because they can complete your party, or you know, sometimes just because you like the character. But this game is a little different from other gacha games. See, this game is mostly a multiplayer-based game. Every single quest can be ran in single player, but most of the time you're going to run them in multiplayer. And in multiplayer, you can only have one character with you. You know, in rare cases you can have 2 of your characters with you, but most of the time you only have 1 of your characters with you, which means that you really only need 1 character that you really like playing. You don't have to feel obligated to pull for characters just because they're good, because if you're going to run a quest in multiplayer, everybody else is going to be running those characters anyway. If they're good, people are going to use them. Like the last good set of characters that we had, or at least the last meta set of characters that we had, were the Blossom characters, Blossom Maria and Blossom Diaz, and they are very common in multiplayer, and the reason for that is because they are so good. So most people who pulled for the Cherry Blossom characters aren't going to use them anymore in multiplayer because everybody else is using them, and you don't really want to stack characters. What I'm getting at is that other people in multiplayer are going to bring the good buffers. They're going to bring the meta characters, which means that you can just use whoever you want. You don't have to feel like you need to pull for specific characters just so that you can keep up with the game's level of power. You're going to be able to pass events as long as you get lucky with your members in multiplayer. So I guess the first thing you should do is look at a list of characters coming out in the future. I usually link that stuff in the description, so you can check that out there. So look at a list, pick some characters that you want to pull for, and then just don't pull for anyone else and just keep saving up for those characters. Because there's no point to pulling for characters just because they're good, because they're going to get outclassed anyway. Like, let's see, who do I have in my list? Like, Devil Claire over here, she was really good when she came out back during Halloween, but right now, you know, we have Blossom Maria who outclasses her far and wide. Christmas Fidel technically outclasses her, you know, as soon as he gets his buff, he definitely outclasses her, so on and so forth. You know, characters keep out, new characters come out, they keep getting stronger and stronger, older characters get worse and worse, and if you pulled for a character specifically for gameplay, then you're going to feel like you just wasted those gems when that character is no longer good. Now, of course, if you want to play for meta, that's fine too. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game, but you should know that if you're going to do that, that is a pretty expensive road that you're heading down, and no amount of gem saving is going to help you then. And I guess the next thing we should look at is just straight up banners, because we have, from time to time, we get banners like this where guarantee like 5-star characters or 1,000 gems for a 10 pull, that sort of stuff. Most of these banners come down to acquiring resources, not this one in particular, but a banner like this one, for instance, it's 1,000 gems, it's still a 10 pull, which means that you can get a couple medium limit breakers, some small limit breakers, sometimes you can even get a large limit breaker from it, just for 1,000 gems, and some people say that that's worth it. I am going to say that it isn't. It's a waste of gems, and that just comes down to the fact that the only thing that you can get from the gacha in this game is limit breakers, and limit breakers are very common in events. Like, they're not so common that you can get like 10 of them in a single month, but still, you get a large limit breaker with every single event, and that adds up eventually. Like right now, let's see how many limit breakers I have. Okay, right now I have 82 large limit breakers, 322 medium, and 59 small limit breakers. That's enough to, I think, max limit break like 7 ace characters, and there's still plenty more that I can get, because I still have my event draws, I still have some that I can get from my present box, and I'll get back to the present box in a second. But that's a lot of limit breakers that I have, and I didn't even pull on like any of the other banners, and it's just piling up now because I don't have any characters to use them on. And that's another thing, don't use your limit breakers on random characters, because if you're going to try to limit break every single character in the game, that's impossible without spending any money. So again, it's the same thing that I had with pull for only the characters that you want to pull for. You should only limit break the characters that you really want to use, and the characters that you know you're going to use. Don't limit break somebody just because they're good. So if you play conservatively like that, you should be able to save up a nice stash of limit breakers so that you can use it on characters that you actually do want to use it on, and you don't have to feel obligated to pull on those 1,000 gem banners just to grab some extra limit breakers. Of course, you could also limit break characters because they're good, but like I said, that's a very expensive road that you're going down. So occasionally we also get these banners that guarantee 10 5-star characters, and while that does seem appealing, you have to think, what do you really get out of this? Like, you get 5-star characters, but you're not really going to do anything with them. If you don't really want any of the characters that are on this list, you really don't have a reason to pull on this, and if you do pull on it just because they're 5-star characters and they're supposed to be rare, then it's a waste of gems. So, you know, occasionally they come out with bait like that, and I always say just don't pull on it. So try to recognize whenever the game is trying to bait you out of your gems. That is a very useful skill to have. Now, after that, we also have these weapon banners that show up every single week, and you always get a guaranteed draw, and then the step up as well as the normal one. So, with these, I always recommend just pull on the guaranteed one. If you're a free-to-play player and you're trying to get one of these weapons, always pull on only the guaranteed one. Never go to any of the other ones. Don't go to the step draw, don't go to the normal one, because these are huge gem sinks. These step-up draws in particular, it's 9,000 gems for all 3 steps, and on the 3rd step you're guaranteed one of the new weapons. But that's actually not that great for free-to-play players. You might think it's only 9,000 gems, but the thing with weapons is that they're not really meant to be chased by free-to-play players. They're just slight upgrades in damage output. Nothing more, nothing less. You can easily get by with all of the weapons that you can find in the exchange coin shops. You don't really need these weapons. If you can get them from the guaranteed draw, that's good. It gives you a slight upgrade against bosses that are weak to, you know, the element of the weapon. But as soon as you start chasing it, you're going to spend 10,000s of gems actually on weapons that just gives you a slight advantage, and that advantage isn't really going to matter much because, like I said, most of the games that you play, most of the matches that you play are in multiplayer, and in multiplayer it all comes down to what kind of teammates that you get. So it doesn't matter if you have very high damage output yourself. If your teammates suck, then, you know, your weapon's not going to do you a whole lot of good. So when it comes to the weapon draws, only do the guaranteed one. If you don't get what you want, then just leave it be. Don't chase it. It's just a huge waste of gems. And something else that I like to do as well is just keep all of my presents in my present box without collecting them. Some people have pointed that out. My present box is always sitting at 30 plus gifts, and the reason for that is because I just want to keep everything, like all of my resources, I just want to keep them in the present box to make it seem like I have less resources than I actually do, make it seem like I have less gems, less FOL than I actually do, and that kind of helps me from falling into temptation. Because if you're sitting at like 50,000 gems, then you might think, oh, what's one pull gonna do? I have like 50,000 gems. One pull doesn't hurt. But yeah, it actually does hurt you because you don't really get anything good out of it. So I like to keep everything in my present box, and then whenever it's starting to get full, I just accept it. And another thing that I don't really condone people doing is reviving with gems, because that's just a huge waste. If you have to revive with gems, that means that your party wasn't sufficient enough to begin with. So reviving with gems isn't really going to help you in that sense. You could revive with gems in Misery 4. People do that as well, just to get that first clear so that they can get the magic hammer from it, which that is something that you can do. But before you think about reviving in Misery 4, look at your party and see if it's actually a good party. Because if it's a party without an attack buffer, for instance, then reviving gems is going to become very costly. Like, usually you end up spending like 1,000 gems per Misery 4 run if you're going to revive, if you even have to revive with gems. So when it comes to gem revives, first look at your party, see if they're actually good, look at how much health the boss still has left, and just think, is this gem revive really going to help me? So to summarize, don't pull for characters just because people are saying they're good. Eventually they're going to get outclassed by newer characters anyway, and if a character really is good, like Blossom Maria and 2B for instance, people are going to run them in multiplayer, and you definitely don't want to stack the same character twice. Well, depending on the situation, but most of the time you don't want to stack the same character twice. When it comes to weapon banners, do not chase a weapon. Just do the guaranteed pull. If you don't get the weapon, just leave it be, and then try to get it with the weapon tickets. That's a good way to do it. But do not do the step-up banners. That's a huge waste. Don't try to pull for limit breakers. The limit breakers accumulate over time as long as you don't use them in places where you really shouldn't. Like, don't limit break a character randomly just because you have a few extra limit breakers lying around. Let's see, what else is there? Gem revives, use those with caution. And aside from that, I don't really think there are many other things I can tell you. That's pretty much all I've got for you. Just figure out how you want to play the game and then stick to that playstyle. But hopefully these tips were helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I guess that does it for this video. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace!